Let's go over to the West Side. Let's go to LA and talk about what this trade actually does for the Clippers. Man, I have so many thoughts, so many thoughts on this on for the Clippers side, but I'm eager to hear from you. What do you think is the prospect for the Clippers right now? Because you ask Vegas, they've moved to plus 700 to win the West and 1,300 to win the whole title from 2,500. So, of course, with Vegas, they're assuming the best to entice the bets to come through so that you put all your money on the Clippers and you don't win. But yeah, like now the odds have moved, as which what usually happens when a superstar switches locations. Or a major star, however you want to classify Harden. When a star moves locations, the odds tend to shift in favor of the team that acquires.
Yes.
But I want to know from a roster construction standpoint, just from an overall organizational standpoint, what do you think about the Clippers acquiring James Harden?
I kind of feel bad for Ty Lue in a way. Like, you give him Russell Westbrook, and I love Russell Westbrook. I argue against the Westbrook slander,
right?
But they play the same position, and you can't play Westbrook next to him and play Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, because that means you only have Ivica Zubac out there for your big man. And the issue that they're going to run into is there's this dude in the West. Like, I don't know if you know his name. He's a really big dude in Denver. Like, he stands 6'11" and like 280.
He has a great sense of humor.
None of those dudes. Yes. And none of those guys are going to guard him. And like, so it doesn't do anything for that. And then you can make all the headline, quotes you want. James Harden has never had a supporting cast this good. Like, when did Kawhi Leonard and Paul George become a supporting cast?
Bruh.
So I feel bad for Ty Lue, and I really do. I hope it works out. But I don't necessarily think that they really have a team built to really exploit James Harden's best. However, it will make James Harden a premier facilitator if they're healthy. Like, he could really go in his bag and be like 16 points, 14 assists. But then the issue is, once again, he's older, and he's not been really healthy because he's older. Paul George was injured last year. He says he's on his bully shit. We'll see. Terrence Mann is out with the ankle injury. He was your starting power forward. Kawhi Leonard, enough said, right? Like, I mean, there you go. And then when the problem that you have is you are solely relying on Norm Powell off the bench.
Right.
Because we all know Russell Westbrook ain't hitting no shots, right? He might push the pace, but he ain't hitting the shot. Amir Coffey, he's a decent wing. He ain't hitting the shots. Like, that's all Norm Powell. And then the question is, if the starting lineup is struggling, does Norm Powell have enough? Maybe, but they got to make another move, and now they don't have the assets really.
Right. And
or the cap.
Don't have the assets, don't have the cap. And I'm just trying to wonder who else is going. Who can they get in? Are they going to have to wait for a veteran at the trade deadline to get waived and then sign somebody for that second half of the season push? Who knows? I don't know if it was the greatest idea to get another oft-injured star to accompany your other injury-prone stars or people who have missed games, missed extensive amount of times. I also know, shout out to my guy, Sean with a W, who had mentioned this. And this was the first thing I thought of. And you'll appreciate this, Chris, because me and my wife, we went to WrestleMania in LA, went to SoFi, drove by that new arena that's being built in Inglewood. All right. It's supposed to be state of the art, one of the best arena stadiums that are going to be built. They need to build their own home. And Steve Ballmer wants to have an attraction in that building. So I can totally understand why they would go get Harden from a business perspective and then on the court as well. Because when you look at how the Clippers are constructed, they are one of the greatest, I think in this era, they have to be the biggest what if team that we've had. They are built. They have constructed.
That's Brooklyn. That was Brooklyn, man.
Oh, okay.
That was
okay.
Brooklyn. That was
I get you on
KD,
that because
Kyrie,
they
and
only
James
played
Harden.
about eighth of the games together. I definitely get you on that. I'll say it only rivals them because the talent level for as long as they were together, and one person was out, then the other person was out, and that does sound like Brooklyn as well, right? But to have somebody like Kawhi when he joined up with Paul George, and then we didn't really get to see the fully actualized version of it, I don't think. Whereas Brooklyn was KD wearing my size shoe away from possibly going to the finals, right?
The finals.
So
yeah.
That's the only reason why I say it, because I know the Clippers, they're a good team. They're always a good team. It's always I won't even say what if for them. I'll give you Brooklyn. I'll say that in this era, they're the greatest potential team. They have all this potential, but they can never play the game.
Like that.
We're not playing it on a computer. We're not playing it on somebody's server or streaming it on Twitch on 2K. Yeah. We're playing the games actually, and you have people who just either couldn't stay healthy or when they hurt, they're not playing. They don't be injured. When they hurt, they're not playing.
I like that. I like that team with most potential, because when all these super teams were being built, like they were built to be the super team stopper, because the idea was that you would have two elite perimeter defending players who are two-way players. And like in the game, usually in any era, there's only maybe about 12 of those guys. And you have two of them on the same team.
Exactly.
Like that, that was supposed to take off. Unfortunately for them, they fell under the Clippers curse. Like they are truly a cursed team. And like I fear for them and I fear for their fans, because I fear a meltdown that's gonna happen. And I just don't like it, because I still, regardless of the move, don't see them beating Golden State. Don't see them beating Denver. I don't even know, quite honestly, like by the end of the season, if they beat the Kings.
Wow.
Like the Kings are really, really good. People just don't want to buy in. They are a really well-coached team. They are balanced more so this year than they were last year, but they still have elite offense. And like Kevin Durant says, and I agree, and like a lot of people don't understand, sure, you need to rebound and you need to defend, but the game is won by the team who scores the most points.
Exactly. You gotta have that. You gotta have that. I will say, I think you do have to. At this point, it's imperative for Russ to come off the bench, not even from a team starting lineup construction perspective, but they don't got nobody. Like Terrence Mann, somebody gonna have to start.
They have Bones Highland.
Okay. But they can go that.
If you play him,
right?
That's a 6'3" and a 6'1" guard.
Exactly.
And Norm Powell's only 6'4", so like,
right?
You ain't on the wings, man. You got three guards coming off the bench.
Exactly. But, and depending on if Ty Lue, if anyone can figure it out, I think Ty Lue can definitely figure it out. But at some point, you're gonna run up against. I mean, we've seen him. Like let's not act like Ty Lue isn't a good coach. What I'm saying is he works with what he has. But if even the best chess players have to tap when they see a strategy where the game has already been decided after two moves. You got to hang it up and then run it back again. I think that's where he gets confronted, where he can see, we don't got the dogs. I just got to try to get creative. At this point, he becomes like a game master, right? He's just tried to puzzle solve at this point, right? Here's the thing with Harden for me. And I saw this note about his career that I thought was interesting. He has played with Durant twice, Russell Westbrook 3 times, Dwight Howard, Chris Paul, Kyrie Irving, Joel Embiid. Now he's gonna play with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I'm not a rings guy. I don't think I think in my maturity, I've gone away from being just a rings guy. I do believe your career is not just a measure of how many championships you win. It is one stat, but that is also a team stat. So I understand that. I will say though, with all of these moves, this man has been put in a position to win for like the last decade. He's put himself
Yeah.
in a position to win. If he doesn't win
Yeah.
a title, this is going to be one of the biggest demerits on a superstar's resume that you could ever have. And he has no one to blame but himself because of all of the situations that he's been in.
Well,
The way that he's
got two people to
left.
blame.
Huh?
He's got two people to blame.
Give me
Steph
them.
Curry and LeBron James.
I bet on his own. I bet when it came to his own team. But yeah, we can talk about eras. But bro, they had the Warriors in that game 7.
I know.
And they went.
I know.
We scored more threes than them, and we were at home. They had the opportunity. We can go into his elimination game stats, which
I totally know. But again, it's the same argument with Damian Lillard. Like, at some point, you just got to say you lost to the better player.
I think Damian Lillard hasn't had the teams that James Harden has had. I think that's fair to say. The Young Thunder, maybe one of the Rockets teams, which funny enough, if PG and Kawhi get hurt, we got the Earth 2. We got a multiversal Rockets team in LA right now with PJ Tucker, Russell Westbrook, James Harden. There's like the multiverse version of the Rockets that just became the Clippers.
All they need to do is sign Nene Hilario.
Right. You know what I mean? So it's just interesting. I just think that's something that's going to be a narrative over him, along with I swear this man needs to start a consulting firm for athletes who want to get to their preferred destination. It's like, like the A-Team, the before when they talk about like in 1972, and now they're soldiers of fortune. He's like the beard team. He's Mr. T. He's like Mr. T. He really is Mr. T. If the goal was to extract players out of their situation into a situation that they want to be in, that would be James Harden and his consulting firm.
He's the wolf. You call the wolf when you need to get it done.
Bro, exactly. But I do think with the Clippers odds, I don't know how much they move. They're going to need to, maybe they need to make that heel trade. I don't know, but I don't know if they have anything for it. But at this point, they need somebody else.
The only move they have would be to move Norm Powell, and you wouldn't be getting Buddy Hield for Norm Powell. So like they're pretty much set. And the Norm Powell trade, if it were to happen, would literally be for depth pieces. So it wouldn't even be that needle moving. It would just be because PJ Tucker, Amir Coffey, and Mason Plumlee aren't enough to get it done off the bench.
Right. I hear you. They're in a tough spot, but it felt like this was a move that they had to get done. And even with the Clippers, man, they may be in a position where none of them come back because PG and Kawhi are on player options, and I believe Harden is expiring, right?
Yeah, Harden's done. Like he has to get he has to have a real good season to get the last big contract.
Right.
Otherwise, his next big contract likely will come from China.
Oh, maybe they're banking on contract year Harden. Maybe they are.
I think what it was in the end is that Steve Ballmer, one of the greatest businessmen in American history, you can go look at the numbers, run it up. There's only maybe about 15 people who has done more than what he's done. Mm-hmm. Looked at the risk and said, I've got 6 teams ahead of me. And that was it. You're about to open up a new stadium. You're going to have your own, legacy. And why not try to start the legacy off with, even if you fail, saying, I'm willing to pay for it. I'm willing to go all in when I see the opportunity is there, even if the risk is high. Let's do it. And it fits his style and it fits his character.
Yeah, definitely, man. And it is, when you think about it, it's not really that much of a high risk. I think it's even risk, even reward, because if these guys leave anyway, they were going to leave anyway, right?
Yeah.
If they're going to leave, they were going to leave anyway. And you're not going to trade Paul George and Kawhi Leonard unless things completely go haywire. And then you start up the fire sale. But I don't think even he would do that. So you go after it one more year and you see where you at the end of the season. If you have enough cap space, maybe you could be a destination as well. I do agree with you there that it is it is a pretty good calculated risk, and I think it was one that he saw nothing but upside. Because the downside is you're back where you were anyway, to be
Yep.
completely honest.